Action.
Tristan, you started DJing in the early 90s when different musical styles were making waves around the world. What were some of the key events that inspired you or got you involved in Psytrance?
Um, well, I was lucky enough to be 17, 18 when the rave music revolution swept across the UK. And basically, I started going to parties, started raving, started enjoying myself, learning how to enjoy myself on the dance floor. And took it from there really, and then I was on the dance floor and I'd look up at the DJs and I'd say, I like this music, but I began to think this is what I would change about it. This was what I would play. I was already a drummer from my teens, and I played in various bands and stuff like that. So then a friend and I went out and we bought a really cheap pair of Technics turntables and bought some decks, started DJing in 1991. And from that, about 2 or 3 years later, when I was playing lots of the tunes, I would be playing these records, say, yeah, I like that, but I don't like that hi-hat or this vocal or the other element to it. I would take that out and I'd put this in and began to think, well, why can't I produce? And there was a few of my friends, and I was living in a university town at the time, a few of my friends that were making music, and they said, well, just do it. Go and buy yourself an Atari computer and a desk and a couple of synths and start making it. So I did. And that was pre-Goa trance, so that was in the early 90s, and then I went to Goa in, might be your next question, I'm preempting here, but then I went to Goa in 93 and I discovered Goa trance, and then I found my family, I found my vibe, and I found my lifestyle, and that was traveling the planet, living on beaches, in beach shacks, climbing mountains, swimming in rivers, hanging out in forests, going to total eclipses, and lo and behold, there were parties happening in these places as well. South Africa, Australia, India, Thailand, and when it was raining in Europe, that was the time to get out. So, I spent my life being in Europe for the summer, doing the festivals and the parties as things built up, and then come November, December, time to hit the southern hemisphere. And I've just made I never got off that kind of that trail, the hippie trail. We're modern day hippies basically. They forged the trail for us, the hippies in the 70s. And then I suppose I was the first one of what you would call a backpacker generation, where the world kind of opened up. It was a lot easier. We didn't have to drive overland to India. We could actually catch a flight or an open jaw ticket. The first time I went traveling around the world, I bought a Trailfinder's ticket, and it was this ticket that went kind of UK, India, Thailand, Indonesia, Australia, Hawaii, America. And I did all of that for 8-9 months, and that was my first proper traveling experience. And since then, it was like, okay, I've seen a lot of the world. Now I want to go and be in one place for 3 months and get to know it better. So I'll go and do a season in South Africa, or see, many seasons in Goa. So the way in which I've developed my interests and my passion for music has always been closely linked and forged with the way I want to live my life. And that is traveling, experiencing new places, being in the sunshine, feeling the cycles of nature with the moon and the sunset, and be in touch with the tides. So I've been lucky enough to make that my life's journey.
Having did it for as long as you have, what's different today about the dance floors you play to than in the early 90s?
Well, in the early 90s, well, let's say the mid 90s, let's go from Goa trance onwards, which in my particular entry point to that was in 93. So from 1993 to now, how do the dance floors differ between 1993 and now? Well, it's a lot more. The experience is a lot more refined now. People who are doing these parties really, really know what they're doing now. And back then, a lot of the parties that we did were illegal, paying the police baksheesh, bribing local officials so we could put a party on in a beach or a forest, or, you know, totally just drive into the middle of nowhere, find a spot, put up a sound system, and bang it out. And if we couldn't do that, we'd drive my car into a car park and open the boot and party there. You know, whatever we had to do. My basement of my house. A friend of mine his dad had a plumbing factory. He got the keys, we'd break into the factory and we'd party there all night, make an acid punch, and have to be out by 9 in the morning before the cleaners came in to open up the factory for the workers. You know, so whatever we had to do. But now it's established. The scene is, you know, in a really solid, still non-commercial. These events are not sponsored by any corporations. These are very much under the radar events, but we're talking 20, 30,000 people with mega sound systems, with mega installations. The time, it used to be, we were like party assassins. You go in, set up, make the party and disappear like it never happened without leaving a trace. Now these guys spend 6 months setting up an event, 6 months breaking down the event, and huge budgets, and bringing artists from all over the world, and people migrating from all over the world to come. I mean, the level and the depth of preparation and, you know, emotional and financial investment that people do is, you know, is way. It is just on a different dimension, a whole different scale now what they do. You know, and I love it. It's been an evolution. So it's not like I prefer it back then to now. It's different, and it's like you see a child growing up. How is your child different from when they were? You can see. It's important to see where it's come from, and it's good to know your roots. But you've got to enjoy where we are now. I mean, look at this. This is, you know, what we have here is just incredible.
Obviously, we would never want you to retire, but were you ever thinking to end your career as a DJ?
There was one point in the early 2000s where I was having some problems with my ear. I began to get tinnitus in my ear. So I'd be lying in bed at night going, ooh, this whistling going on my ear. Oh my God. I'd heard stories of rock and rollers from the 60s. Pete Townsend in particular said, I would have given up, I would have sacrificed my entire rock and roll career not to have to suffer this tinnitus that I have now. He said that later on in life. And those words kind of resonated with me, and I was very, very anxious at that point. But it was a blessing in disguise. So what I actually did was, I was always a DJ, and I was always writing live stuff, but I was always putting my live music in my DJ sets and doing these long sets. I then realized that I had to sacrifice DJing and just focus on my live, because it's less intensive on your eardrum with the monitoring and, you know, the headphones. So in the end, I let go of my DJing, and my live set blossomed, and the Tristan Live Act became a fully fledged entity, and it was a silver lining in that cloud, basically, because, you know, it's when I committed to my own sound that I really discovered who I was as an artist, and my career, you know, the trajectory took a whole new exponential curve.
My next question is very short.
Okay.
If it was
My answer might not be, though. Sorry, I'm a bit long-winded, but, you know, you can edit it. You can edit me out.
I'm ready for this. So, if it wasn't Psytrance, what would it be?
I'd like to be a surfer if I wasn't a psytrance producer.
I think that career would be perfect for you. You look like a surfer.
I feel like a surfer. Yeah, warriors of light surfing the tsunami of truth to the edge of time.
I love it. Thank you. Okay. Now a slightly longer question.
Okay.
You're being described as one of the most colorful figures in the psytrance scene. How has being a DJ and psytrance culture changed you as a person?
How has psytrance changed me as a person? Well, I've had to develop a work ethic. It's terrible. Because psytrance, to do what we do, we have to really be persistent. We have to spend a lot of hours in the studio. We have to spend a lot of hours traveling on aeroplanes. I'm not complaining because it's all good. But these are the factors that you have to actually knuckle down and do this in order to succeed and to get your name on these lineups. You've got to work hard, and it's not a natural tendency of mine to want to work really hard. I'm good at persisting at things. I'm good at achieving what I want to achieve, but I'm just as happy to sit on a beach and play frisbee or body surf or read a book as I am working in the studio or traveling to gigs. So it's made me more focused as a human being.
Now, I'm very curious of how you're going to answer this question.
Well, let me that, because you actually asked me as a psytrance DJ. You didn't say as a member of the psytrance community, because they're two very different things.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Well, a lot of people come here just to enjoy the festival and to do their spiritual work and their cosmic kind of if you could see what I could see off camera, everyone's pulling faces at me, to do their work on the dance floor, to have fun, and I do all of that. But we are here in a professional capacity as well, so you have to have almost two hats. But for me, when I'm behind the decks here, the dance floor doesn't stop there. You can probably see when I'm playing, I'm dancing and having fun. So, we're all part of the same vibration. But, before the set, you need to sit down, compose yourself, get your shit together, have a little meditation, calm the nerves. And, a lot of people out on the dance floor don't have to deal with that. They don't have to deal with standing up in front of 20,000 people and delivering your work, bearing your soul. It's, it can be an intimidating experience, but at the same time, it's one of the most rewarding ones that you can possibly imagine.
I was wondering how you do that, how you prepare yourself for the festival, and how or what makes you decide to play a specific track or set at the festival.
Well, I think preparation is something you do over a long period of time. I feel like I've been preparing my whole life for this set, genuinely, and within that, preparing all summer for this set. So I'll have in my mind, I'll know when I'm playing, right, I'm playing at 4:30 on Friday afternoon, it's going to be the closing set of that day. So I need some daytime, euphoric, uplifting, psychedelic tracks that are going to bring everyone together and culminate the day's experience. And my particular, where I'm at in my trance journey, I wish to express that, because how I choose what tracks I want to play determines where I'm at in that season, if you like, or that cycle of where we are musically in the scene. So I don't pre-plan my sets. I have lots of hours and hours of music that I can draw from, and when I get up there, I normally have the first track in mind that I know that I want to play, normally a new massive production that I'm really excited about. And once the first track's on, the ball's rolling, the ship's left, the ship's a sail, and things just, happen by themselves almost.
Now my favorite question. I heard some comments generally. Some of your girl fans want to throw their panties at you.
They want to do what?
They want to throw their panties at you. Has it ever happened before? If yes, how did you react?
I don't think I've ever had a pair of panties thrown at me. So if any ladies out there fancy doing it, you know, I'm ready for it. Particularly on day 5 of the festival in 40-degree heat. Sounds amazing. Yeah, I would be happy about that. You know, let's all get naked on the dance floor.
Perfect. I'm going to get something organized then for that
Yeah,
occasion.
okay. Hey, and the guys. I don't just want girls' panties. I want the guys too. I'm not being, you know, not being sexist here. Pavel, you can throw your pants at me. I know they'll be clean.
Perfect. Okay. Over the last 20-25 years, you have headlined every main psytrance festival. You have also spent a lot of time on the dance floor. Is it important to see things from the crowd perspective?
Well, you know, I think that question answers itself. How can you possibly write dance music that is based upon the culture that we inhabit without being in that culture? And I said the dance floor doesn't end here. So, okay, a lot of DJs might not actually be on the dance floor, but when they're up there, they are in the dance floor. But for me personally, I was actually saying to a friend of mine yesterday, how you said 20, 25 years, how do I remain current? How do I keep in touch with what's happening in the scene? And how do I keep evolving? I do that by being on the dance floor and listening and getting inspired by what other musicians are doing. Yes, it's critical for me to be on the dance floor with my friends, with the family at large, blasting. Definitely. One of the most important things and one of the most fun things that I do.
My next question is quite related actually. Um, do you believe in the possibility to read the audience? How do you put this into practice?
Well, how do you read a book? Do you look at the words and decode what every word means? Or do you scan the sentence and does your brain just make sense of it all in one go? And does it scan the page without even thinking? And can it put you in a place that the author's trying to put you without you even having to close your eyes, just by reading? For me, being on stage and connecting with the crowd is a bit like that, except the people out there are like the letters and the groups of people are the words, and the decoration all adds to the kind of atmosphere and the vibe of it all, and you just read it and it all makes sense simultaneously. You don't have to understand what's going on, you just have to be open to it. And yes, it's very important. Very much what I do is connecting with the crowd. You know, that is my feedback loop that enhances what I do, that I feel builds the energy of a crowd, is very much my communication and our, you know, joint. I can't think of another word other than the telepathic communication. How does a crowd know when it's a good tune? Why did they don't know what the track is coming in? They don't know why they like it. They don't know necessarily what's happening, but some tunes come together and build and everybody kicks off. How does that happen? Why does that happen? People don't think about it, they're just experiencing it, and it's a simultaneous, spontaneous kind of psychological combustion that happens where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Everything, all the minds come together as one, and I'm just one of those minds. Everybody's reading the crowd, not just me. Right?
Yeah.
We're not all there just on our own dancing. Everybody's aware of what's going on and the vibe that's happening on the dance floor.
Yeah, and we feel the energy, right?
And we all feel the energy. Yeah, exactly.
When I first saw you, you were playing your set and you were not wearing any shirt. And
Has been known.
exactly. So, how people react when you play your music topless?
Bloody hell. Well, I don't want it to become a big thing, you know, whether I've got my shirt on or not, you know, and a lot of people joke about it. Oh, you do own a shirt then. The truth is, I do actually, look at me now, I'm sweating. I do actually get really, really hot. And I do dance. And I do sweat. And I do have it when I'm behind the decks. And if I'm sweating and I'm overheating, my shirt comes off. But a lot of people think, but it doesn't always come off. But a lot of people think that I'm not having a good time unless my shirts come off. Well, that's just not true, you know. Or they think, wow, he's got his shirts off. He's really having it. Well, I can certainly have it whilst keeping my shirt on. But, you know, as I said, I like to feel in touch. There's nothing better than swimming naked. I'd like to, not that I encourage everyone to get naked on the dance floor, but it feels great to just take your top off, dance, sweat, feel the, you know, feel the elements. But I'm not putting it in the contract.
Great. Hey, my next question. Have you ever made love to your music?
Have I ever made love to my music? You mean, have I ever made love to somebody whilst listening to my music?
Yes, I think that's the question.
Well, I was a virgin until I met my wife. No, let me have a think. I will answer that question really, really honestly. I don't know. I can't remember.
You can't remember. Would you ever do that? And
Oh!
Wow.
Good one, Vega. I'm sweating here. Come on, get me, please.
That's some.
Did it explode?
Was it a
Yeah. Now it starts.
Yeah.
not panties, but a water balloon?
Quick water break.
Yes.
Spot on. Spot on.
You missed. Come on, get me again. I'm ready. I won't move. I swear.
I think you can do one differently.
Yeah?
Please, I'm so hot. I'm sweating. Well, I was just asked, what track would I make love to? Well, I've been married. You know, I've been with my wife for 20 years, and I'm incredibly happy. Doting, loving husband, and I once wrote a track dedicated to her. All my my whole life's dedicated to my wife Vanessa, and I did write a track called Suriname because she's from Suriname, which is just north of Brazil, half Dutch, half Surinamese, and it's a down-tempo tune. It's very musical, very deep and lush, and kind of it says a lot about how I feel about her through my music. So it would have to be that one, Suriname, which was on my album Chemisphere.
What track releases are you especially proud of? Or you consider that were especially groundbreaking in your career?
Well, I think artist albums are a milestone in one's career, and less people do them these days because of the digital revolution. People want to stay current in the Beatport or download charts, so they release EPs, they release singles all the time, and they don't hold back their music for the best part of a year and release it as a single piece of music, which I think is a real shame, because when you put on someone's album and you listen to it from start to finish, can you imagine Dark Side of the Moon as single tracks? It's a concept album, and I think an hour of that, it's like listening to a live set as opposed to a DJ. When it's your live set, it's an hour of your music non-stop. There's something special about that. So to answer your question, my albums I've always felt were particularly groundbreaking for me and real, you know, marks in the wall as to where I am in my career, and I can always look back at those. And actually, I think my first album, which was O.Z.O.R.A, which was released on Twisted Records, I listened back to that the other day, or Vanessa, my wife, put it on, and I was like, wow, this is actually still sounds quite contemporary, really current. I was really pleased with that. So it's when you look back on your work, as an artist, one generally thinks that your latest piece of work is your best. Sometimes when you got the opportunity to listen to your older work, you realize that there was a moment in time that you captured some magic. So I can't really name them now, right? This, Chemisphere or Audiodrome or Way of Life is, that's my opus. It's when you're reminded of them and you look back, or if you've ever gone back and read your diary, if you keep a diary and you read back when you were traveling around India the first time, and you look at that and you go, God, that's a really decent bit of writing. Christ, I don't even remember that, having those experiences. And that's what it's like listening back to your music. They can remind you of a period of time. And it's a bit different to looking back at a photograph, taking or painting a picture which exists outside of time. You have to listen to music through time, and it can be quite nostalgic listening to your music, and if you're in the mood it can work, and if you're not, it doesn't. So it changes what I'm most happy with or what's most relevant, or
Questions are an important part of life, and the mind will often give you many fancy answers. How did your spiritual journey begin? Are you a spiritual seeker?
How did my spiritual journey begin, and am I a spiritual seeker? Yes, I'm definitely a spiritual seeker, but I kind of look at it, I'd like to say a little more holistically, where it's not just my spirituality I'm seeking to make myself a more secure, more happy, more balanced, more fulfilled, more loving, compassionate, kind, spiritual human being, father, husband, friend. So the spiritual journey is just one facet of the diamond of life, and it's a process, and you have to be aware of yourself and your triggers and I think that it's your negative emotions that can teach you the most. Your fears, your anger, your jealousy, they're the things that are telling you where you need work. They're the wake up calls for the path to unhappiness. And I can't remember when that started. I can't remember when it started, but it's happening now, and it's still going on. And I was on the dance floor last night listening to some music, and I was really, really in the zone. I was dancing like a nutter at night time, and I could feel I was having some issues coming up about fear, ego, worries, projection. What are other people thinking of me? What am I thinking of them? And it was actually on the dance floor that I was working through my issues, letting go of them, and I was shaking it out, sweating, and it was all coming up, and I was just letting it go. And that's why the dance floor is important, because you can really, really do some work on yourself on the dance floor if you let it happen. But you've got to put some effort in. You've got to get to that euphoric, ecstatic, hypnotic state of trance, because within that state is a pure light, which is the source of you as a human being and us all in the cosmos. And you can shed all those outer layers of scar tissue of life. And that's the spiritual journey.
Wow.
Wow.
This is an interview I would like to listen to. Honestly.
Yes,
It's fucking amazing.
it doesn't feel like an
Okay, man.
interview at all.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like I'm listening to you and I'm like, feel so inspired. So next time I'm on the dance floor, I'm going to shake it all out with you. Topless.
Yes! I'll be there!
Time for you to do it.
Great.
A thing that you missed from your younger days or childhood.
Things that I miss.
Yes.
Youth.
That's it.
Well, do you know what? I don't know. My life, again, if you allow it, if you keep working on yourself as a human being, life just gets better and better as you get older. You have more gravity, more wisdom. You realize that you know less than you thought you did as you get older. You know, I'm still in a physically fit body, and that, you know, maybe when this physical vehicle starts to fall apart, then I will miss my younger days. But right now, nah, life's amazing. I'm loving it. Oh, do you know what? The sets that I've been playing this summer, I try and leave myself very available to people on the dance floor at these events to come up, give me a hug, come and give me some feedback, say what they thought about the set, or just to take a selfie, come and give me a hug, come and just whatever, come and say hi. I love that. And it's about picking your moment, being sensitive to, you know, if someone's really in the zone, you leave them alone. If they're there on the dance floor looking around, come up and, you know, I love that. And I love what we have here. And I love the love. Close, but no cigar, guys. Ah, they nearly got me with a water bomb. What I'm trying to say is, I'm here at the O.Z.O.R.A 2018 now. When I was up there was so much love on that dance floor. There was so much love being beamed at me from the people. I was beaming it right back. And let's just keep doing that. Let's just keep sharing the love. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you very much for this interview. Thank you.
Give me one of those. Give me one of those.
Oh.